Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarvavide Namaha. Atmalabhat paro nanyah labah kaschana vidyate yadartha vedavadascha smartaschapi tuyah kriyaha Atmarthopi hyo labha Sukhayeshto viparyayah Atmalabha parah proktah Nityatvad brahma vedibhi Swayam labdha svabhavatvad labhastasya na chanyatah anyapekshastu yo labhah sunya drishti samudbhavah. The teacher here did the pratigna in the verse number 3. Vakshe Brahma Vidya Vinishchayam. Brahma Vidya Vinishchayam Vakshe Pranamyatan Gurun. So bowing down to those gurus, now I will state or say the Vinishchayam. The conviction, the determination, the ascertainment of Brahma Vidya. Meaning tam nyaya vikshesham vakshe. I will now give you the reasoning by which Brahma Vidya nishchayo bhavati. By which the nishchaya, the ascertained knowledge of Brahman takes place, that Brahma Vidya is the means of attaining the goal of life. And what is the nature of Brahma Vidya? The reasoning by which all of these can be ascertained. This is what I will state now in this chapter. So now, what's the role of Brahma Vidya? Atmalabhat parolabha paro nanya labha kaschana vidyate. This has been stated earlier also, that there is no labha, gain in this life other than the gain of Atma. Now that's what Upanishad also says. Atma sukhamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Yadartha vedavadasya smartasya priyah kriyaha. Because Vedavadaha, all the statements of the Vedas, Smartasya, all the statements of Smritis, all of them directly say how there is no labha or gain greater than the gain of the Atma, gain of the self. Yaha kriyaha. And apart from these statements which are imparting knowledge of the Vedas and Smritis, even those statements which delineate or explain or prescribe karma, they are also meant for the Atmalabha by way of the knowledge, by way of the Antakarana Shuddhi. Putra is then also Vedavada, which are the typical statements of Vedas which say that there is no labha, gain greater than the labha of the Atma. Pramanikam, this statement is Pramanikam, based on Pramana, based on the statement of Veda, Upanishad. Atma sopiyo labha sukhayestu viparya. Tadetat priya putrat, priya vittat, priyanyasmat, savasmat, antartaram yadayam atma. Straight away says that Atma labha is greater than the labha of the putra and vitta and everything else. But there are other labha also, like the putradi labha, Atma thopi yo labha. All right, that labha putra etc. is meant for Atma labha. But still, what's wrong with that? Because that labha Atma arthopi, the labha, the gain, to serve the purpose of Atma labha, like putradi. Sukha ishta, which is a desire for happiness, viparya, that also can turn around, can very much become the source of dukkha. Atmalabha parah proktaha. So compared to that, labha or putra, vitta, etc., Atmalabha is nitya labha. Nityatvat parah proktaha. That's anitya labha. Not only that, it is more labha abhasa. Putradi labha, meaning that the happiness that seems to come from putra, vitta, etc., is more the abhasa, an appearance of happiness, not real happiness. Because that turns to unhappiness also. Whereas nityatvat, the atma labha, the gain of atma is nitya, eternal, meaning not dependent upon time or place or any factor. Brahmavedihi proktaha. That's what the Brahmavedihi, that's why the expounders of Brahman or the Vedas say that in the statement that we just read. So how do you say Atmalabha is nitya? Swayam labdha svabhavatvat labhastasya na chanyatah. Swayam labdha svabhavatvat, because Swayam labdha svabhava, Atma is already labdha. Self is that which is already attained. Therefore, it is attained. In case of Atma labha, it is the attainment of what is already attained. Therefore, that labha or attainment does not depend upon any other attainment. Nacha anyatah. The attainment of the 10th man is without any other means. There is something that separates me from the 10th man, but that is not an attainment that separates me. Usually, what separates me from what I want to attain, maybe distance of time, place, vishesha, qualities, attributes. That's why something becomes the object of attainment, because it is separated from me, or I am separated from that by some real distance of time, place, etc. On the other hand, the separation is not real because it's already myself and I think I am not attained. So, whenever Atmalabha takes place, Nanyataha, that labha or attainment of Atma is not due to anything other than Atma. Not something else becomes the reason for attainment of Atma. Anyape, therefore it is Nitya. It's not labha. Anything that is attained, like putra, can also become unattained or can turn around. But this is already attained, therefore there is no attainment involved, and that's the reason why there is no anityata. Anything that is attained is yat kritakam tananityam. Anyapekshastyo labha. But labha attainment, that is dependent on anya, like putra, vitta, etc. Saha anya drashti samudbhavaha. That labha is anya drashti samudbhavaha. Anya drishte sakashat samudbhava yasya sa anya drishti samudbhava. Samudbhava, samyak udbhava. The arising, the attainment of. So any other labha is the attainment on account of anya drishti, looking upon that labha as separate from me. That is how all other labha is because of anya drishti, looking upon that is anya. Only when I look upon something anya is different from me, then only it becomes the object of attainment. But that something is different from me is what? Is nothing but ignorance. Anyadinasya tad apagame apagamat. So therefore, anya drishti, as long as anya drishti is there, so long that labha seems to be there. When anya drishti goes away, as long as I think that something is separate from me, so long that remains an object of attainment. If I discover that it is not anya, then the attainment itself goes away, and therefore there is no more labha. And therefore, anyadinasya tad apagame. Any labha or attainment that is dependent upon some cause, that also you can say, when that cause goes away, like the putra labha. So whatever I thought was causing happiness from putra, vitta, etc., when that cause goes away, maybe it is putra, vitta, they were favorable, they were helpful, and that's why I thought that was a labha. When that favorableness, helpfulness, etc. goes away, then labha or happiness no more remains happiness. So every other labha is nitya, atma labha is nitya. Now, anya drishti samudbhava, this is the verse number 6 said in the last leg. So then next verse starts with this question. Kayam anya drishti samudbhava. Any other labha or gain is samudbhava is brought about by anya drishti. Kayam anya drishti. What is anya drishti that they are talking about? Kava tad udbhavasya anya putradi labhasya anitatva hani. And putradi labha, the gaining of putra, etc., as you say, is because of anya drishti. And therefore, it is anitya. Suppose putradi labha is anitya, because it is the result of anya drishti. Suppose that is so kahani. If anya drishti brings about putradi labha and is anitya, kahani, what's the problem with that? What is lost by that? What's the disadvantage? Iti, if this is a question, ataha, this question is replied in the next verse, number 7. Anya drishtisva vidya syat tannasho moksha uchyate. ज्ञानेनैव तु सोऽपि स्यात् विरोधित्वान्न कर्मणा. अन्य दृष्टिस्तु अविद्या स्यात्. अन्य दृष्टि means ignorance. Tannasho mokshaisyate. And the cessation of anya drishti is called moksha. Jnane naiva sopi syat. And that moksha can only be by knowledge. Na karmana. Viroditvat, because aviroditvat. So viroditvat na karmana. Because karma is opposed to knowledge. And therefore karma cannot bring about moksha. Moksha can be brought about by knowledge only. Because the lack of moksha is due to ignorance. That is called anya drishti, is ignorance. So the expression anya drishti is first explained. Anyasmin drishti, anya drishti. It is the seventh case. Saptami, tat purusha. Anyasmin drishti. Anyasmin anatmani drishti. Pratidihi yasyasa anya drishti. Anyasmin anatmani. Anya means other one, the non-self. Drishti pratidihi. So this can be anyasmin anatmani atma drishti. Looking anatma as atma. Sanya drishti. Or looking upon something as anatma also is anya drishti. Looking upon anatma as atma or looking upon something as anatma because all there is atma. Sa avidya, that is ignorance. Ignorance brings about this brahma. Anya drishti is brahma. Seeing something as different from what it is. Seeing anatma as atma or seeing something else as different from atma. And that is brahma, which is result of viksheba, result of avarana or avidya. Sa avidya bhavati. Tatasya atma avidya kruta भ्रांति निबंधनत्वात् पुत्रादि लाभ प्रतीते. So putradi labha pratite. The attainment of happiness from putra etc. That's a pratiti. To think that putradi gives me happiness is a pratiti, which is bhranti nibandhanatvat. Also look upon happiness as different from yourself. That it looks like coming from putradi, which is a bhranti. Atma vidya kruta. Not knowing that Atma, the self is happiness. Think that putradi is the source of happiness. And that is a bhranti born of the ignorance of Atma, not knowing that Atma is happiness. So putradi labha pratitehe. The happiness that seems to come from putradi, the labha, there is a pratiti of the labha, the happiness comes from putradi, is an account of looking upon the happiness different from oneself. And that is because not knowing what my true nature is. So not knowing the true nature of myself is happiness. And therefore thinking happiness is elsewhere. So thinking that putradi is the source of happiness. This is the bhranti vishayatvat. This pratiti, anyasmin, looking upon happiness as existing elsewhere, is a bhranti, born of the ignorance of the true nature of self. Tasyacha swapnatulyatvat. That bhranti or seeing happiness there is similar to seeing the dream, seeing what is not there. Similarly also, seeing happiness where it is not, is bhranti, is comparable to swapna. Now why is the example of swapna given? Because we have the experience of the cessation of that bhranti. We know that it was bhranti. Swapna was a bhranti, is experienced by us. it is determined by us. And what happens to the happiness appearing in Putradi also suffer the same fate, that it is negated at some point in time. What appears to be happiness turns out to be unhappiness also. That's how we realize that happiness which I thought was there was a bhranti, similar to dream, and that is how the dream is negated by the knowledge of waking. Tasacha avidyana vrittimantarena atmaswarupa nitya sukhalabha bhavat. Therefore, atmaswarupa nitya sukhalabha bhavat. The nitya sukha, the eternal happiness, which is the Atma, the nature of Atma, Atma Swarupa. Avidya nivritti mantarena. So what separates me from that Atma Swarupa Nitya Sukha? The eternal happiness which is nature of Atma, which creates the notion of unattainment of that is ignorance, avidya. So effect can go when cause goes away. That happiness is separate from me is a Brahma, born of ignorance, and therefore only by knowledge that can go. So attainment of Atma Labha is by despairing of ignorance. Sa sampadya. Therefore, avidya nivritti sampadya. What is to be attained is the cessation of ignorance. Because ignorance creates the Brahma of the separateness of the Sukha from Atma. And that's what deprives me of the eternal happiness which is nature of Atma, which I should not be seeking because it's myself. And I'm still seeking because there is a Brahma or delusion that happiness I am not. Or Anya-Drishti happiness is elsewhere. So this being the Brahma, and Brahma is always born of Ajnanam. Therefore this Brahma or the perceived unattainment of Nitya Sukha cannot go without the dispelling of ignorance. Sa sampadya. Therefore, avidya nivritti has to be attained, has to be accomplished. Tannasho mokshaishyate. Tannasha. Avidya nasa mokshaishyate. Therefore, moksha is the nasa, the cessation of ignorance, dispelling of ignorance. So that is first established. The Atma Labha is the Paralabha, Paramalabha. That can be by only avidya nasa. Tat prapti upayamaha. What's the upaya? What's the means of the cessation of ignorance? Jnanainev sopi syat. Avidya nasa jnanainev syat. Can be only by knowledge. Sahapi ajnana nan lakshana moksha. So saha moksha or ajnana nasa. Jnanaiva syat can only be by knowledge. Tasyeva ajnana virodhitvat. Because knowledge alone is opposed to ignorance, like the light alone is opposed to darkness. Na karmana. By karma cannot eliminate ignorance. Tasya ajnana virodhitva bhavat. Because karma is not opposed to ajnana. So, avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartate. Vidya vidyam nivarteta tejastime sangavat. So avirodhitva. Karma not being opposed to ignorance, therefore karma cannot eliminate ignorance. Only knowledge can do, like the light can dispel the darkness. Tasmat sarkarma parityagena Atmajnanam sarva sampadaniyam eva mumukshuna ityartha. Therefore, the absolute necessity, the inevitability of Atmajnana is first established. So all these nischaya must take place. Then only what the discussion follows will become meaningful to us. Or we'll have a commitment to that once it is clear that the only problem in life is ignorance of the self. And therefore one must become committed to self-knowledge. And there other commitments have to be given up. Tasmat sarva karma parityagena. Because karma requires the sense of kartrutva. Without kartrutva, without sense of doership, karma cannot be performed. And therefore, thinking that karma will attain my goal will require me to sustain the kartrutva, the sense of doership. Karma, perpetual sense of doership. And therefore, as long as karma is there, as long as I think that karma is going to do what I want, that's what is meant by karma. Not that some action is performed, there something happens. That action is the means of what I am seeking. That always make me look outside of myself and prompt me to do something and perpetual sense of doership also. So the karma as a means of moksha must be given up. What is meant by karma tyaga is the tyaga, the abandonment, renunciation of karma as a means of moksha, as a means of happiness, as a means of appeasing hunger, means of appeasing, quenching your thirst, means of protecting your body if you need karma, but not as a means of moksha. Karma as a means of moksha has to be abandoned. Karma can become means for some worldly needs, because the body may have needs, it has needs. But karma cannot accomplish anything else. Karma can accomplish worldly objects, and they have purpose to serve in our life. That because the body is there, therefore there are bodily needs. And God, Ishvara has designed the universe to fulfill those needs. Without karma you can attain, you can enjoy things, but that don't require karma. To enjoy Ishvara you don't need karma. To acquire that stuff, to appease my need, that requires karma. So, karma as a means of moksha, karma as a means of happiness, karma as a means of attaining something is not attained, that karma should be given up. Karma simply for fulfilling needs of the body, they don't obstruct because they do not require you. They do not require the mind says I need to attain something. That does not require the mind. That is clear that this is a need of the body for which I am doing this. I am not doing this to fulfill my primary need. It is moksha. So that clarity, nishchaya must be there. That is what is meant by giving up karma. So when we do something, we should be clear why we are doing a given thing. Is for moksha that I am doing or for something else? So we must understand the kind of opposition or the objection that Vedanta has for karma, that we should understand where it is coming from. Not that blanket just Vedanta reject karma. Vedanta doesn't reject anything, it rejects only ignorance. And the false notion or born of ignorance. That's all. If karma is a result of that false perception, then karma has to be given up, because then only false perception can be given up. If karma is born of false perception, and I continue that kind of karma born of false perception, then it perpetuates false perception, perpetuates ignorance. In that case, I am just doing harm to myself and not helping myself, hurting myself. So this is what we should understand what Vedanta means by karma sannyasa. Nanu virodha abhavat sakarya avidya nivrittarupo moksha karmana mabhut. All right. So virodha abhavat, we understand that karma is unopposed to ignorance. Therefore, moksha, sakarya, avidya, nivrittarupo moksha. Moksha, which is avidya nivritti, cessation of ignorance, sakarya, along with the products of ignorance, like Brahma. Ignorance, if it is meant with avaranam, karya is Brahma, so along with Brahma, the ignorance must go. That's called moksha. And since karma is not opposed to that, karmana mahabhut. May karma may not bring about the removal of ignorance, which is what brings about moksha, but tathapi tena nitya purushartho bhavishyati. And still karma is a means of attaining what is not attained, and moksha is to be attained. So why not karma can become the attainment of moksha? Nitya purushartho bhavishyati. Atah kim jnanena, we understand the role that knowledge plays, but that does not demand that karma has no role in the life. That moksha I don't have right now, moksha has to be attained, and karma is a means of attaining what is not attained. So why not karma can become a means of attaining moksha? Atah kim jnanena. Then why worry about knowledge? If this is a question, na, answer is no. Karma karyastu. Karma karyastu nityasya. Avidya kama karana. Pramanam veda evatra. Jnanasya smrutah. Karma karyastu anityasya. Nitya purushartha, the argument was that karmana nitya purushartha bhavishyati. Karma also can give rise to nitya purushartha. Says no, karma karyastu anityasya. Anything that is a product of karma or result of karma is anitya. Yat kritakam tad anityam. Why? Avidya kama karana. Because karma is the result of kama, the result of avidya. And therefore, it is going to be anitya. So, karma karyastu anityasya, this is pratigna. That the result or outcome of karma is always going to be anitya, impermanent. Now, fifth case is not stated here. Avidya kama karana. So, karma karya. Avidya kama karana. Because karma, the result of avidya karma is because of avidya. So, tatra hetu garam vishesham avidya iti. So, avidya kama karana is the visheshanam of karma karya. See, both are the nominative singular. So, avidya kama karana is the adjective of karma karya. So, in providing that adjective, the author is providing reason. Why? Karma karya anitya. So, reasoning is provided in avidya kama karanatvat. Now, what is the reason? Mithya pratyaya mula raga prayukta karma sadhyatvad ityartha. Karma karanatvat. karma karyasya. That karma karyam, anything attained by karma, is kama karanatvat, a result of karma, a result of kama. Oh, result of kama is what? Mithya, pratyaya, mula, raga prayukta, call it kama or call it raga or dvesha. Raga dvesha is mithya, pratyaya, mula. Raga, and therefore dvesha also has its mula, has its source in mithya pratyaya, in false notion. What is false notion? One, about the self. That the happiness is unattained, unhappy. Secondly, that is the source of happiness. So Atma is concluded to be unhappy and Anatma is seen as the source of happiness. This is our mithya pratyaya. This false notion about Atma and Anatma both create raga, a longing or attachment for something, and then dvesha for something opposed to that. Therefore, karma is raga prayuktam, karma is raga dvesha prayuktam. Karma is brought up, when karma is performed to accomplish something, then understand. Nitya purushartha, when karma is performed as a means of attaining something that is not attained, then that karma is raga prayuktam. Because I want to attain something because of raga for that. And raga is the result of the Brahma. Mithya pratyaya about myself, that I am lacking and wanting. About the other one, that can fulfill my lack or want. That mithya pratyaya creates raga for something. That creates karma. And therefore, karma is born of mithya pratyaya, Brahma, false notion, born of ignorance. So karma is the result of ignorance. Not only that, but then anitya, once that is clear, karma karya to anitya, karma sadhyam phalam anityam. That is why. Because karma itself is born of raga, which is born of the mithya pratyaya, false notion. And therefore it cannot be real. So there is a notion there somewhere there is happiness. And when notion is dispelled, the happiness is gone. Therefore, anything that is attained by karma or anything attained by false notion cannot last. It can last as long as notion lasts. When notion goes away, it will not last. Therefore, I find that I did not get what I wanted. As long as I did not have something, as all hope that once I become CEO, I become something, I get something, I get lottery, whatever it is that I am seeking. When I get that, then I will gain fulfillment, success, happiness. And when I really get it, and then examine, and then anityam. So whatever is, anything that is unknown, yad viditam, once I come to know, as long as I do not aviditam, so long it remains the object of my desire. When I attain it, gain it, then I know exactly what it is. Then martyam, dukkhatmakam, heyam. Then I find that this is not permanent, this was impermanent. Dukkhatmakam is source of unhappiness, heyam, to be rejected. And therefore, karma sadhyam phalam anityam. Anything sadhyam is anityam. Jnana sadhyam to nityam idyatra kim pramana. All right, then karma sadhyam anityam that is established because karma is the result of ignorance or notion, and that attainment remains as long as notion remains. Because notion goes away, that attainment also goes away. But then jnana sadhyam nityam. What is attained by jnana is nityam. Kim pramanam? What's the evidence that you have to say that what is attained by jnana is nityam? Iti ched, if that question is there, Veda itself is a pramanam. So second line is pramanam Veda evatra. atra vedaiva pramanam. What is atra? Atra means, so jnana sadhyam nityam. What is attained by jnana is nityam. Atra, with reference to that, vedaiva pramanam. So where does it say? First of all, tadyasaya karmajito loka kshiyate evamutra punyajito loka kshiyate. This is the karma sadhyam phalam anityam. Just as the karmajito loka, whatever is accomplished here in this world by karma, kshiyate, is known to be perishable. No, this is everybody's experience, that whatever in this world is attained as a result of karma, as an effort, is perishable. But we may have a problem with Swarga. Maybe Swarga is something else. Because there are those who think that Swarga is permanent. Apasam amrita bhuma. We have become immortal by drinking soma, by performing soma yaga. Evameva amutra punyajito loka. So loka swarga attained by punya also is only kshiyate, that also is perishable. So this is what the statement comes from Chandogya Upanishad. That's pramanam. Because swarga you have not gone is logical, but this logic is stated by Upanishad itself. So this is karma karyastu anitya syat, for that pramanam. Then jnana karyam nityam brahmavid apnoti param. Say brahmavid, knower of Brahma. So knower of Brahma, param apnoti, attains param, attains limitless. This knower of Brahman, meaning by knowing Brahman, one attains limitless. So jnana karyam is nityam. Tati shokam atmavit. The knower of Atma crosses the grief, becomes free from all unhappiness. Ityadi vedeva karma sadhyam anityam jnana sadhyam nityam moksharupi yatra pramanam. This Veda is pramanam for both. What is it? Karma sadhyam anityam. What is attained by karma is anitya. Jnana sadhyam nityam. What is sadhyam attained by jnana is nityam. And what is nityam? Moksha rupam. Brahmavid apnodi param. So jnana sadhyam nityam means what? Moksha rupam. It is moksha. Iti atra jnanasya vivekasya adhigame pramanam jnanasya adhigame vedevatra pramanam smutaha. So jnanasya adhigame, jnanasya vivekasya adhigame pramanam smrutam vidvadbhi smrutam. So what says smrutaha? Tika says smrutam. So pramanam vedev atra smrutaha. Jnanasya adhigame atra smrutaha. With this is called, but then pramanam smrutam. The pramanam is the, if smruta goes with pramanam, then pramanam smrutam, vidvadbhi pramanam smrutam. So Veda is pramanam for both. Karma karyastu anitya and vidya karyastu nitya. Kincha further, Vedasya sarvasya adhyana vidhi upaditatvat apurushartha pariyavasana ayogad parama purushartha pariyavasanaya. All these have been discussed earlier, by the way. This is the rule of karma, jnana is all discussed, and it is just brought about here briefly in order to expound the nature of knowledge. Panupursa, tulaya, compare this, etc. Prushti 1897, or whatever it is, anyway. So, Vedasya sarvasya adhyana vidhi upaditatvat swadhyayo adhyatavya. That's called adhyana vidhi. Swadhyaya, one's own branch of Veda. Everybody belongs to a certain branch of Veda. Rigvedi, Yajurvedi, Samvedi, then also Kanva Shakhi, Madhyandina Shakhi, etc. So everybody will claim or everybody will announce that I belong to this tradition. Swadhyaya, Adhyatavya. So in the Varnashrama Vyavastha, all the three Varnas, they always had to study some Veda or the other. Sarva Adhyayana Vidhi Upadeshtatvat, the whole Veda, Swadhyaya, one's own branch of Veda, Adhyatavya, one has to study one's own branch of Veda, meaning the entire Veda has to be studied. Adhyatavya, it's called Adhyayana Vidhi. An injunction about the study of everybody is enjoined to study Veda, entire Veda. The study may mean recital and would not end at recital, would also mean then knowing meaning of those passages, not only stopping there, but what is the application of those dharma also one should know, meaning that Veda should be studied until one becomes prepared to live one's life. Because the fact that it is enjoined means it is beneficial to human being, means that it is a means of moksha, paramapurushartha. So what does not attain purushartha, Veda cannot recommend, or Veda cannot prescribe something which is meaningless to you. The fact that Veda prescribes the study of Veda means that study of Veda is means of attaining paramapurushartha. Apurusharthe pariyarthan ayogat. And therefore, Veda cannot be apurushartha, cannot be means of not attaining purushartha or what the human being wants. So, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, if you call four purushartha, Veda means all the purusharthas. So, study of Veda cannot be meaningless. It has to be meaningful because that's what the Veda prescribes. Paramapurushartha parivasanaya atmaikya jnana paratvam eshtavyam. So paramapurushartha parivasanaya. If the study of Veda is culminates parivasanam, culminates into paramapurushartha. Now because vidhi is there that one should study Veda, that means the study of Veda must be the means of paramapurushartha moksha. How can study of Veda become the means of moksha? Only when atmaika jnanam, the jnanam, the knowledge that Veda imparts of the aikya, the identity of Brahma and Atma, so that is the knowledge which means of moksha, paramapurushartha. And therefore, ultimately, the purpose of study of Veda is to attain atmaikya jnanam. The purpose of prescribing or enjoining study of Veda is so that this person will gain the knowledge of the identity of Atma with Brahman, because that is the primary purpose of Veda. This has all come. Whereas the Mimamsaka thinks that the primary purpose of Veda is karma, the Vedanta insists and establishes that the only purpose that Veda has is atmaikya jnanam, the knowledge of the self. And karma serves the purpose by preparing the ground for that knowledge. So paramapurushartha parivasanaya atmaikya jnana paratvam eshtavyam. So that vidhi, swadhyayo adhyatavya, that vidhi is meant for the benefit. And therefore, the purpose of that vidhi, which enjoins that one must study the Veda, must be for making this person recognize that you must gain the knowledge of Atma, because that is what Veda is meant for. So study of Veda is meant for what Veda teaches, that is Atmaika Jnanam. And the Vidhi or enjoyment of study of Veda must be meant for studying what Veda teaches. And what Veda teaches is the knowledge of identity or the knowledge of true nature of self. Swadhyaya Adhyetavya in that Vidhi is implied that this Vidhi or enjoyment find its fulfillment when you do exactly what the Vidhi intends you to do, namely, when you gain the knowledge of self. That is when you really studied the Vedas. And therefore, when you say you must study the Veda, it is meant that you must gain the knowledge of self. Tataha na karmasu tasya mahatatparyam. So mahatatparya, the ultimate tatparya, purport of Veda is in Atma Jnana, not in karma. Gauna tatparyam can be there. A secondary purpose is there of karma, but primary purpose is only knowledge. Ita vipretyaha. So Vedantin again insists that Veda is meant for jnanam, and karma, which is prescribed by Veda, is meant to serve as a means of jnanam. So karma kanda and jnana kanda have a relationship of sadhana sadhya. So the next verse is Jnanikartha paratvatam Vakyamekam tato viduhu Ekatvam hyatmano jneyam Vakyartha pratipattitah. Jnanikarthatvat paratvat. Because paratvam, Veda is devoted to one thing, namely revealing the knowledge of Atma. And there is no other purpose. Karma is not the purpose of the Veda. Jnana, therefore, tam ekam vakyam tato viduhu. Veda is one vakya. Veda is one homogeneous text, continuous whole. Veda teaches one thing only. What is it? Atmaikya jnanam. That's all Veda teaches, not karma. So whether it is karma kanda or vasana kanda, jnana kanda, they are not different. See, the Mimamsaka say that karma kanda is the primary section and jnana kanda is only arthavada. Or sometimes the karma kanda, jnana kanda are thought to be two separate, the prakaranas, having two separate adhikaris. Says no, there is only one adhikari. Mumukshu is adhikari. And the whole Veda is meant to serve the purpose of Mumukshu, whose only primary purpose is moksha. Therefore Veda is a means of moksha. Well, that's what human being wants. Dharma, artha, kama, nobody wants. You think that you want them. The want behind all the wants is moksha. So only thing that human being wants is moksha. And therefore the only purpose Vedas can have is to fulfill this need of this human being. What's the purpose otherwise of Veda? He has only one need. Swargas are not his needs. They are as long as he is ignorant. And therefore, to satisfy that need is only to perpetuate ignorance. So satisfying need of Swarga cannot be the purpose of moksha. Therefore, moksha is one text. Ekavakyatvam. Serving one purpose, namely moksha is meant for mumuksha. Because human being is a mumuksha. He is born with desire of moksha, not dharma artha kama. Ekatvam hyatmano jneyam vakyartha pratipattitah. Atmana ekatvam jneyam. And Brahmaikatvam. That Atma is Brahman is Vakyartha Pratipattita. Mahavakyartha. By when we understand the meaning of Mahavakya, it is very clear that Veda is teaching the identity of Brahman and Atma, Brahmaikatmyam. So, Jnanikartha Paratvat. That's what the verse says. So, Jnanam eva eka artha. Artha means prayojanam. Jnana eka artha paratvat. Jnanam eva eka artha prayojanam param pratipadyam yasya vedasya satatha. So, param pratipadyam, what the Vedas in fact delineate is the only prayojanam, artha, which is what jnanam. So, knowledge is the only purpose, which is what the Veda delineates, which what the Veda expounds. Veda only expounds jnanam, is devoted to expounding jnanam. That's the only purpose or only agenda that Veda has. So, the Veda is called Jnanaikartha Paraha. So, then of course, paratvatvat, so satatha means jnanikartha paraha. Tasya bhava jnanikatva paratvam, tasmat jnanikatva paratva. That's the way to explain that word. Tam vedam ekam vakyam viduhu. So Veda is now qualified as jnanikartha paratva paraha. Jnanikartha paraha Veda. And so therefore, tam vedam, that Veda, which is jnanikartha paraha, which is devoted to merely revealing the knowledge of the self, nature of knowledge of self. Ekam vakyam viduhu. That there are not more than one vakya, there is no karma vakya and jnana vakya, one vakya. Who vakya pramana kovidaha. Kovidaha kusalaha. So those who are adept in vakya pramanam, so those are adept in analyzing the pramanam, the means of knowledge of the nature of vakya. So vakyam eva pramanam, vakya pramanam. Vakyam is mahavakya. Where mahavakya is the pramanam. So kovida, those are adept in analyzing the meaning of mahavakya. They say that this is what Vedas ultimately has a purpose in mahavakya. So therefore, vakya pramana kovidaha ekam vakyam viduhu. So they said Veda has only one purpose to serve, that is to expound self-knowledge, which is the means of moksha. So those who are adept in analyzing the Vakya, the statements of Vedas, they say that the Vedas have one purpose to serve. Kim tasya jnayam. So if Vakya is all that the Vedas say, what is to be known by that Vakya, Mahavakya? Ekarthatvam. So ekatvam hi, next line says, ekatvam hi atmano jnayam, atmana ekatvam hi jnayam. It is atmana ekatvam, the oneness of Atma is what is to be known. Oneness with Brahman. So, Brahmana ekatvam, atmana brahmana ekatvam jnayam. All that is to be known is the oneness of Atma with Brahman. Tatah jnanat atmana ekatvam jnayamit anvaya. So by that knowledge, that Veda is devoted to knowledge, and by that knowledge what is to be known is the identity of Atma with Brahman. Atma, ekatvam, he Atma is one he there. He Shabda, avadhanartha is for emphasis. Meaning that Atma ekatvam he eva jnayam. Atma ekatvam eva jnayam. Only the oneness of Atma alone is to be known. That's the only purpose that the Vedas have. Jnana prakarama. What's the nature of that knowledge? Vakyartha pratipattitaha. How does that knowledge of aikatvam take place? Vakyartha pratipattitaha. By pratipatti, by the knowledge of Vakyartha, by knowledge of the meaning of Mahavakya. How the knowledge of identity takes place. So what is that Vakya? Two kinds of vakyas are there. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Ityadi, Avantara vakyas, Pratipatti Dvarena. So those vakyas which either expound Tatpada or Tvampada, they are called Avantara vakyas. They are called the supporting statement, secondary statement. And those vakyas who directly expound the identity of Tat and Tvam, Jivan Brahma, are called Mahavakya. So they are the principal Vakya. These are the Avantara Vakya. Primary statements and secondary statements. Secondary statements support the primary statements. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So Brahma is Tatpada. So this statement reveals the nature of Tattva, therefore Avantara Vakyam. So there are statements which reveal Tvampada, there are those which reveal Tatpada. They are all Avantara Vakyas, and Tattvamasi, that is Mahavakya, is the primary Vakya. In short, Vedas have their purpose only in revealing through Mahavakya the identity of Atma and Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Ityadi Avantara Vakyata Pratipatti Dvarena. So by the knowledge of the meaning of the Avantara Vakya, Tatpada, Tvampada, Tattvamasyadi, Mahavakya, Atmana, Brahmikatvam Jnayam, and then by Tattvamasi, Brahmasmi, those Mahavakyas, Atmana, Brahma Ekatvam Jnayam, one should know the Ekatvam, identity of Atma and Brahma. So these are called, so thus Satyam Jnanam is called Avantara Vakya. Anyway, some you look upon that as Mahavakya also. So we saw where in the Sankshipa Sharirika, how there are 12, 13, some 11, 12, 13 Vakyas, the Upanishads are thought to be Mahavakyas, revealing the identity of. So how you interpret Satyam, Jnanam, Brahma, if you just look at that, then it looks like revealing Brahman. But Jnanam part says it is Atma. So that way it can look upon as Mahavakya also. But if you just take that statement up to that point, it can look Avantara Vakya. Atma Tattva Jnana Seva Paramapurushartha Hetutaya Shrutatvat Karma Karmabhid Tattva Jnana Apekshita Chitshuddhi Hetu Karavidhana Dvara Parampariyena Paramapurushartha Sadhana Bhavam Bhajate iti. If Jnana Kanda is only main Kanda of the Veda, what about Karma Kanda? If Jnanam alone is Pramana Mahavakya, then Karma Vakya is not Pramana. Atma Tattva Jnana Paramapurushartha Hetutayaha. That Atma Tattva Jnanam, the knowledge of the essential nature of self, is the Paramapurushartha Hetu, is the means of moksha. So, Hetutaya Shrutatva Karma Karanapi, so Tattva Jnanam is the Paramapurushartha Hetu. Karma Karanapi Tattva Jnana Apekshita. So Tattva Jnanam is the means of moksha Paramapurushartha. But Tattva Jnana calls for Chitta Shuddhi as a requirement. And Karma Karanapi Tattva Jnana Apekshita. Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi, the purity of mind that is expected or required for Tattva Jnanam. So Karma Vidhanam Dvara, Karma becomes the means of Chitta Shuddhi, which is required for the Atma Jnanam, Atma Ekatva Jnanam. So Parampariyena Paramapurusha Sadhana Bhavam Bhajate. So Karma also, Karma Kanda also becomes the Paramapurusha Sadhanam, the means of moksha. Parampariyena, indirectly, in gradation, in stages, and not directly. So karma gives rise to Antaka Shuddhi, and that means for Jnanam. Therefore, Paramapurusha Sadhanatam Bhajate. The karma kanda also becomes the means of Paramapurusha. Therefore, studying Veda means studying all of this, and the purpose is for Atma Jnana. Yuktam ekartha parivasanena ekavakyatvam. Therefore, karma kanda and jnana kanda become one vakya, leading to one purushartha. They don't have different goals or different subjects to propound. All of them propound one subject, namely moksha, atmajnanam, sadhya, sadhanam and sadhya. Ekavakyatvam, Veda Vakya Siddhi Bhava. So entire Veda Vakya is as one Vakyatvam, is one continuous text. It is not consisting of two chapters something, one prakaranam. One prakaranam and not different prakaranas. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurte Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.